Good evening. It's 6:30 and well, it's 6:33 actually. So we will begin. Oh, you want me to speak louder? Oh, well, that is a first for me. So yes, I will speak louder. Good evening and welcome. My name is Lucille Renwick. I'm president of the Board of Trustees for the New Rochelle Public Library. Thank you all for attending, and thank you to everyone who is attending via Zoom. It is 6:33 still, and so we'll begin our budget hearing presentation. This is an information session to provide you with all the data and information related to the library budget. The budget vote will be May 20th. I will turn it over. I am joined this evening by my colleagues and fellow officers on the board. To my left and your right is Rhiannon Navin, our secretary, and to my far right, your far left, is my colleague Corey Galloway, who is vice president of the Board of Trustees. At this time, I will turn it over to our library director, Eugenia Shatoff, my direct right, your left, who will walk us through the budget presentation. Thanks.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As President Redwick stated, I'm Eugenia Shatoff. I'm the director of the New Rochelle Public Library, and I'm grateful for your time this evening. So tonight we're going to walk through our proposed budget. We're going to share how it supports the vital services we offer, especially for families, children, and lifelong learners. And you're going to have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. After the brief PowerPoint presentation, we'll open the floor to your questions, and I'm going to get started. Thanks.
No.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello. Hello again. So this is our 2025-2026 budget proposal. And to start off with a brief introduction, our aim in this budget process was to adapt to our community's evolving needs during these challenging economic times while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Our proposed budget reflects our commitment to providing essential services and resources while being prudent stewards of public funds. So before we set upon this budget process, we had several objectives. The first was efficiency, maximizing the impact of every single dollar to deliver exceptional library services while streamlining operations and reducing waste. We focused on growth as our community is growing. We wanted to focus on expanding programs, collections, and services to meet increasing community demands and embrace new opportunities for learning and engagement. And finally, we wanted to focus on sustainability, ensuring long-term financial stability through responsible planning, diversified funding sources, and investments in infrastructure that will serve our community for many, many, many years to come. So the way that the budget process works at the New Rochelle Public Library is there is an actual budget committee that is a committee of our Board of Trustees that meets and goes through a budgeting process. So the first step in the process is assessment, so analyzing spending and usage data, community feedback, and emerging needs to understand our library's current performance and identify opportunities for improvement. We then move on to prioritization, where we align resources with our strategic goals and community priorities to ensure maximum impact of limited funds. The committee then goes through a process of drafting the budget, and the committee creates a detailed financial plan that balances operational needs with strategic planning while maintaining fiscal responsibility. And then finally, the Board Finance Committee, the Budget Committee, presents to the entire board, and the entire library board votes and finalizes a budget that meets the needs of the community while ensuring accountability to taxpayers for their vote on May 20th. So a little bit about our accomplishments over the past year. The library has been a large big supporter of digital literacy. We have expanded our bilingual technology support, helping to bridge the digital divide and increase connectivity in the community. We had 2 staff members who were trained in a national program called Digital Navigators, where they offer personalized support in English and in Spanish for affordable connectivity, devices, and digital skills. We also introduced a digital learn curriculum that includes classes, guides, and handouts in both languages. We boosted our children's literacy and STEAM skills, so STEAM being science, technology, engineering, art, and music education, with engaging programs like Wag Your Tail, Read to a Dog, which helps boost children's reading confidence. The Summer Reading Challenge saw over 900 young participants exploring both New Rochelle libraries. Additionally, the Full Steam Ahead program and monthly math and action sessions led by New Rochelle High School volunteers captivated children and families with hands-on learning. We saw a unique exhibit, World on the Move. We were one of only 15 libraries nationally that were selected to host the World on the Move 250,000 Years of Human Migration exhibit, which showcased human movement, resilience, and cultural exchange. We partnered with local groups, including the New Rochelle High School PAVE dance program, to offer live performances and events. Nearly 20,000 patrons engaged with the exhibit, which included film screenings and poetry slams. The exhibit complemented the year-round art and history displays in the Lumen Winter Gallery. With our teens programs, we expanded them by offering new initiatives to empower our youth. Our Teen Advisory Board works very closely with the teen librarian to ensure programs meet teen needs. We also introduced a pause to read, offering stress relief with therapy dogs to teens, and we launched our first babysitting and CPR class to equip teens with valuable life skills and certifications. So as part of being a library, a public library in New York State, is that we have to submit an annual report to the state of New York. And part of that is our reporting on all of our statistics. So this is a data point that we look at when we're formulating the budget. So in the past year, we had over 4,300 teens that took part in our vibrant programs. We had over 26,000 children and family members attend 973 children's programs. We had over 10,000 children and teens participate in our summer reading program. And we had over 55,000 adults attend over 4,600 live and virtual program sessions, enriching their lives with new ideas, skills, and connections. In terms of circulation, we had over 751,000 library visitors. We had over 285,000 items checked out. Over 125,000 reference questions were answered by our knowledgeable staff. And we had over 28,000 public computer use sessions on our public computers. In terms of literacy programs and support, over 9,500 children attended early literacy programs, setting them on the path to reading success. We had over 4,900 adults attend adult literacy programs, which improved their skills and opened doors to new opportunities. And we had 324 total program sessions for English speakers of other languages, with over 3,900 attendees, which helped non-native speakers build confidence and fluency. So in terms of the 2025-2026 budget, we are seeking a $7,227,667 total tax levy, which is a 4.75% increase in the average homeowner's tax, or an increase of $343,661 compared to last year. This is a 1.15% decrease over last year's ask. The average homeowner in New Rochelle will see an increase of $19.44 from last year's budget. And the total annual library taxes for the average homeowner will increase from $413.21 a year to $432.66 a year. So going into a little bit of budget detail, we have negotiated salary increases and estimated pension and healthcare costs that were mandatory increases. Our Westchester Library System is requiring a 2.5% increase, which we budgeted for. We see a small increase of $1,570 towards library materials, and most of that going towards increasing our ebook collections. We have an increase of $1,328 to our tax-related SCAR and tax certiorari and debt service line. So tax certiorari, those are needed to settle challenges to property tax assessments. We created a brand new line. So part of sustainability is investing in our infrastructure. So for the first time ever, we added a brand new line to add $10,000 for future projects and capital funding. We had a slight increase of $6,250 towards programming, and that is a direct increase to children's programming, teen programming, and outreach programming. We saw a small increase of $1,000 towards our legal audit insurance line to cover an increase in legal fees and compliance. And we saw an increase of $5,000 in our payroll, web tech, postage, and supply line as we upgrade to expand the payroll system to an automated online system. So some of the lines that we discussed, the $10,000 toward the capital line, a $4,000 increase obligated by set by the Westchester Library System, an increase in employee benefits, pension, workers' comp, retiree, and medical insurance, which are mandated contractually, increases to an online payroll system, children's programming, and teen programming. So in conclusion, thank you for your attention today. This budget reflects our commitment to serving our community through accessible resources, engaging programming, and innovative services. With your support, our library will continue to be a vital hub of learning, connection, and opportunity for all residents. The strategic investments outlined today will ensure we remain responsive to evolving community needs while maintaining fiscal responsibility. We welcome your questions and look forward to our continued partnership in nurturing an informed, engaged, and thriving community. So we also have contact information. So we're going to move into the next portion of the presentation where we're open to and welcoming any public comments or questions. But we also have contact information. So feel free to reach out via telephone or email or drop by if you have any additional questions outside of this presentation about our budget.
Jean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that we have any registered questions, correct?
So we did not have any of the Zoom participants submit questions.
Thank you. So I would like to open it up to our audience. If there are any questions that you have, we just ask you to come up, use the microphone, provide your name and your address, I believe, and ask your question.
Is it good? Anybody? Can you hear me now? Okay. First of all, I want to thank all library workers with their, absolutely helpful anytime answering my questions. And I hope it's going to be continue. But my name is Galina Shafira. I live on the North Avenue, and I live in New Rochelle
You just have to hold them.
about 30 years. Oh, now.
Can you say your name again, please?
My first name Galina, Galina. Okay. Do you need my last name?
Yes, please.
Shafiro.
Thank you.
I live in New Rochelle about 30 years. I came to the States about 35 years ago and found a job in New Rochelle Hospital. That was the name of the hospital that time. And since that, actually work all these years in the hospital and retired now. This about myself. Now, again, I really see a lot of changes in all these years in the library. I mean, in a good way. It's increased children's program, adult program, you name it. And also, there is a great staff because very helpful and professionally answering all questions if we have. So, uh, um, but from my observation, I just want to mention a few things. We have this big library. We also have in North Avenue a kids library. In that kids library, which is usually very crowded, actually, there is a very popular place. When they opened, it was a few computers for kids. Then it was 4 actually. Then it was 2. Then one stopped working, and now there is none. I'm not sure what's going on, and um, kids like it, actually. We can argue, is it okay for kids or not, but life is life, and usually here in a kids' corner, it's on a computer for toddlers, always line. Meanwhile, there is a few more computers who also in that area. You, but for some reason it didn't work for toddlers. It's only for teens. Maybe we can reprogram then, and in the morning when there is no teenagers, they usually at school at that time, we can use it for toddlers also. This is from my observation. Now back to the increasing budget. I notice that most of the increasing goes to salary and benefits. My question is, this is for existing people, or or you need more people, new people? That's my question. Do you have more people work here? Do you need more people?
So I'll answer that question. So the budget as it exists, so I've been here approximately 7 months, and so the budget as presented does not include any newly created positions. These are simply existing positions that were budgeted and allocated for, and it's to continue to maintain the level of staffing that we have for the 7 days a week and the many hours that we're open.
Thank you. And my I also can say we increase our tax for school budget almost every year. And New Rochelle High School used to be one of the best in the country. Unfortunately, despite we putting more money, we didn't have a higher education. So maybe it's not the money, maybe it's efficiency, how it used. This is my other question. Who control this? And how we can think about it in a different way, not just pouring money over there. But if I have nothing about increasing a wage or, salary, it's just okay. It's not my point. My point is that school for education for kids, but the level of education in our high school is not getting better, even we increase the budget almost every year. Meanwhile, in the New Rochelle, we're paying taxes, one of the biggest in the country. We're also paying taxes for county, which is not every county, also a few county have it. So maybe if we really need more money, we can ask state or county to help with this. Because myself, I know people who was born in New Rochelle, live in New Rochelle for the rest of their life. Now, when they retire, they have to, because of the highest taxes, they have to leave New Rochelle. They live in country. So, can you think this way?
So is this a school budget question or a library? It sounds like it's a school budget question.
Well, I'm not sure how you divide it because as my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, the library taxes is a part of school taxes. Do you guys all together? No? When we vote for increased taxes, we vote for school taxes, which include
Separately.
Huh?
Separate. It's a separate.
It's a
Separate vote.
separate voting.
Yes. Yes.
Two items on the ballot
So
because
you can
it used
approve
to
the
be
library
one.
budget and not approve the school budget, or you can approve the
Uh,
school budget and not approve the library budget. They're separate.
We would hope that you would
Okay,
approve.
those-
approve
Right,
this,
yes.
But
Those 4.75%, it's only for library.
Yes.
Okay. So the next question is, how are you done with the budget of last year? Do you use everything or it's left some money? You have, how you work with previous year with the money, with the your budget?
Okay. So to speak to your previous question, so in terms of, you ask a very good question about efficiency. And so the library budget is developed by the administration. So it's a collaboration between myself and the Board of Trustees. And so as the library director, I oversee the day-to-day management of the budget. And so part of my job, as well as the job of my administrative team, is to ensure that every single day we're using our resources efficiently and creatively and effectively to meet community needs. And if you were to look at return on investment, the impact of every dollar spent in the library, comparatively, the statistics that we just went through, the tens of thousands of adults attending our programs, the tens of thousands of children attending our programs, over 750,000 visitors a year. I think that we're actually providing wonderful services for every dollar that we're spending on providing services to the city of New Rochelle. Also, your question about additional funding sources, we're always looking for additional advocacy. So if you would like to assist us in advocating to the county, to the city, to the state for additional funding, that is part of our jobs as administration and as library trustees to seek alternative funding sources. It's a big reason why we also apply for many grants. We receive hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants every year, many of which are related to either programming or to our capital infrastructure projects. There's a specific grant program in New York State just for library construction grants, and we get for every dollar that we want to spend on a project, the state gives us 90 cents on that dollar, so we're only contributing 10 cents towards a dollar of a construction project. So we actively pursue all of the grants that we possibly can, including programming grants as well, to expand our programming. So I just wanted to address your previous questions before you had moved on to the next one. And did you want to address?
I did. I just wanted to add something to that this library is one of the busiest in the county. In fact, it is the busiest library in Westchester County, but it is one of the least underfunded libraries in Westchester County. So our increase, while it is an increase, is minimal in comparison to a number of other libraries, especially given all of the services and the resources that we
And
provide.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
That's why I go back to my suggestion.
Mhm.
What about county and state?
What about, I'm sorry?
County and
The
state,
county and
why
state.
they didn't help us? If they can see that you guys, I mean, library increase the service, work more, and have a better result. So we need more sources.
So we have very good relationships with our representatives on the county level and on the state level, and we are always in dialogue with them and together with them exploring different opportunities for them to assist the library. And we are in talks with our state representatives this year, as well as on the county level. And so that's an ongoing process, and we're really exploring every avenue in that regard. And we have, thankfully, elected officials on every level who are huge advocates for the library and are always assisting us in trying to find new revenue streams for us too.
Okay. I guess I can give you the
Yeah, I
microphone.
appreciate your questions. I want to make sure that we're addressing everyone's questions.
Hi.
If you
First
could
of all,
state your name and your address, please.
I can't do this anonymously.
No, it's a public hearing.
Okay. Dr. Nancy Kaufman,
Nancy Kaufman, okay?
and I live in the North End, and I grew up with this library. Love it.
We
It is
do need your address, Nancy, I'm sorry. It's a public hearing.
It's Green Tree Drive. And I grew up with this library. It is a fabulous library. Mr. Morrison from the high school used to send us here to do a lot of our papers and the research. It's phenomenal. I noticed that the budget last year was increased for taxation. And in there was a component allotted for already for the increase in the salaries for the library. And what I'm seeing here is that less than 6%, less than 7% of what you have here listed is for anything to do with keeping the actual content of the library augmented, to really augment it in a way that is so useful to so many people throughout Westchester County. And that the lion's share of this here is all about the increase in salaries and benefits. And my question about that is, at a time when there is a deflationary push happening across the board through Wall Street, through a lot of different things, a lot of the bubbles are starting to burst even on Wall Street to bring prices down. And so that's why I'm questioning so much of this budget. Everything else seems pretty okay, very, very reasonable. But my concern is that we're going to be stuck with salaries that are up here with what was inflationary pricing the past 5 years, while the rest of the world and the bubbles pop, okay, of inflation, there doesn't seem to be any loophole to ever bring down those salaries to be commensurate with whatever the going inflationary non-inflation is. And then Rochelle is going to be stuck forever with these very high, out of whack salaries. Is there a loophole to bring down these salaries at some point? When things are rate adjusted across the board, because right now you can see it when the reason the market's going down is because all the inflationary bubbles for everything was hyperinflated and those bubbles are popping. So their distortions now are starting to correct. At a time when you're asking to now match what was the inflationary bubble when the bubbles are popping. Is there a way of bringing down the salaries or something in the contracts, or they stay perpetually high? And New Rochelle is going to be, and the taxpayers right now are starting to feel very taken advantage of New Rochelle, because although we're very, very proud of New Rochelle and of our library and of our educational system, for which I went to Penn, Columbia, and Brown from here, and with everything I learned from your library too, and my brother went to Yale and Harvard, and we're very proud of New Rochelle because we did very well coming from here, and you prepared us so well, and this library did. But I'm not seeing anything here that's trying to really ramp up the offerings, the actual content offerings of the library.
Okay, so I want Eugenia to be able to address your question,
Yeah.
Nancy.
So I do want to point out that yes, salaries and benefits are the largest part of our budget, which is typical for most service-based organizations, and our staff is one of our most valuable and greatest assets. They provide critical services like early literacy, technology assistance, outreach. We're open 7 days a week for most of the year, so having a well-trained, available, reliable team to help provide service at both of our locations is very important. So we're committed to fair compensation while also being fiscally responsible. We are a union shop, so our increases are contractually mandated. We're not talking about large increases or large salaries across the board. In running the numbers, the average employee makes less than $40,000 a year.
How many employees are there? I'm sorry.
There's right now there's about 68. And also the contractual increases are right about around 2.5% annually as an increase. And so that's contractually mandated. That's a long-term contract that was entered into by the Board of Trustees. The thing I do want to point out as an organization is as taxpayers, you're absolutely right. There is no infinite number in terms of increases or infinite number in terms of personnel costs. And so what it is important to point out is that the salary increases that we're asking for aren't creating any new positions. They're meeting the contractual obligations, but also looking at fiscal responsibility and the impact over time. There is the opportunity with retirements and reassessing the workforce allotment to be able to maintain steady increases in those lines that aren't completely at odds with the rest of the industry, and also maintain our contractual obligations. So
Something to you,
Yeah,
a
I-
risk,
hold
a
on.
risk that you're running.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
I just want to point out something in response to what you just said. There's actually a very big risk that you're running, because as the bubbles burst, and when you take a look at the constellation of bonds that are being issued by New Rochelle now, and you take a look at what happened with the increase in the taxation that everybody voted on last year, there's a $10 million fund that was voted in for the mayor for her discretionary projects that added a lot to the taxation of New Rochelle residents. And, you know, the bottom line is that my concern is that in the future, as different bubbles burst, what'll end up happening to the staff is that they're going to be forced to shrink the staff. And I wouldn't want that to happen, because that would jeopardize people's jobs, but also jeopardize what would happen with the library itself and its functioning. For each person is very critical and very important in this library.
absolutely.
I'm going to,
And so my concern is that in taking a look at the financial big picture of New Rochelle, and you can see it even with how the bonds are running and how they're being issued now by New Rochelle, there's even a shift of the taxation to take away, or to actually have the tax payments a whole month earlier, so that New Rochelle can start paying back some of those bonds are actually coming to maturity. And you're running a real risk for the future of staff by doing that.
all
Your
right, sorry to
library
interrupt, I'm
staff.
sorry to interrupt you. Just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask their question also. I think that in your question, you did conflate several things into one, where you're talking about some school and then some city taxation. We're really just here for the library budget. And
It's in the library. The
Right.
library was in that budget that we voted on, what was it, a year or 2 years ago. The library was definitely in there, and I remember the person from the library talking, and that was part of why there was an increase. It was a more minimal
yeah, I just
thing.
wanted to reinforce just on to reinforce what Eugenia was saying. That despite the fact that the New Rochelle Library is the busiest library in all of Westchester County, we are actually, we rank 37th out of 38 when it comes to staffing. When it comes to, we're the second lowest when it comes to staffing overall, which means our staff works that much harder to provide that much more services compared to all the other libraries in Westchester County. And as Eugenia said, their salaries are contractually mandated by the unions. So, but is there another question out of the audience?
Well, hold on a second. And then I won't say anything anymore. I'm concerned about the future longevity of all your jobs. And that
we,
later on, there
I-
won't be a shrinkage
will
of that
say,
when the bubble-
Nancy,
the inflationary bubble pops, because
I-
you're an excellent library. And I
Thank
hate to
you.
have that, anything
Thank
happen
you.
to any one of you, because you've asked for
Yep.
a lot that maybe right now, for this moment or for this year, might be okay. but in the
and
future,
And the
it'll
beauty of
land you
that
in a
is
hole.
that we have a director who is very aware of that. And as she said, there are retirements, and there is a vision and a long-term vision in terms of staffing, and we constantly look at that. And the board every single year is making sure to look at staffing. And as we mentioned, it is contractual agreements that we have with the union. We're always in conversation with union leaders. We're always in conversation together with the director to kind of look at staffing. So it's not a year to necessarily a year to year kind of view. We're trying to look 2, 3, 4 years out, recognizing that that people retire. And sometimes you can add jobs, and sometimes you realize that jobs may shift or the responsibilities may shift. And so that is a vision that the director brings. That is a conversation that she has with the board. So I hear you. I appreciate, your concern. I also appreciate how much you have seen and have benefited from this library. And I can assure you that this staff does a lot and makes the best use of the resources that we have and the programs that we're doing. And we will continue to do that because we have no intention of leaving New Rochelle. We have no intention of reducing, if we can afford it, avoid it, any kind of programs or any resources for the community. We recognize the importance of supporting this community in every way possible that we can. So I just want to make sure that if there are any other questions, that someone has an opportunity to speak. No? No? Okay. I do want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank my fellow trustees and especially our library director for being here tonight. I want to let you all know that you probably have received in the mail, and if you haven't, they are either here at this table or they're immediately outside, and it is the budget newsletter. So it does go into, but look at that. Thank you all. Thank you all for bringing it, for reading it. Yes, that's right. And it is one of the more comprehensive newsletters that we have produced. It is the most comprehensive budget newsletter that we've produced, and provides an overview not just of the programs but of the budget. So we ask you to share it with others. Oh, Nancy has another question. You just have to use the microphone so we can hear you. I don't have those numbers. But
We do have a retirement projection report that we've put together, and that's something that the Personnel Committee is working on. But I will say that even just anecdotally, in my time in the library, 7 months, we've already had, actually in this fiscal year, we've already had 4 full-time retirements, and we've had another one scheduled for June. It is something that we do have a workforce that is skewing towards retirement age overall. And so this is an opportunity for us to reassess, reassign duties, to look at efficiencies and see how our organizational structure is set. And it's definitely a conversation that we are continually having in assessing personnel costs. So are you asking what percentage we pay towards employees in retirement? So within this fiscal year, we already know this upcoming fiscal year that is in this budget that right as of today, because people do have time to give the retirement notice, we know of 2 retirements. So of those, the 2 people that are retiring, both are in long time employees, both are in key positions, and both will be replaced with employees at a lower salary. In terms of the question regarding what retiree benefits are going to be paid, we do pay some legacy costs and reimbursement for Part B of retiree health insurance. Those numbers are already budgeted for within this budget. So those aren't additional costs that we would be looking at.
All right. Again, we'd like to thank you all for attending. And we, at this time, are going to close the information session in the budget hearing. So thank you all. It is now 7:13. We will turn off the Zoom. So we will not take any further questions so that the Zoom audience doesn't have to miss out on that. And again, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your support of the New Rochelle Public Library. And have a
Thank you.
good
Good
night.
evening.